Alright guys, so let's go ahead and cover a couple more situations here for security takedowns, for law enforcement, or for any uniformed professional. Our friend Mr. Red is back. This time we have Ringo. Ringo is aggressive, he's got his stance up, and he's talking to Mr. Red. This is a basic takedown that we do in security where we kind of walk up behind, we do a cross face, right? Pull him back to the shoulder, hook, bring him straight down. Okay, so let me show that from another side. If Ringo was standing here, I'm kind of just walking up behind, doing a cross face, pulling that head, hooking the arm, trying to go deep, and stepping straight back. Now, it's important that you give verbal commands when you take somebody down, meaning that if he's facing Mr. Red right here, and I'm walking up behind him to break this up, I'm going to come across, down, right? Now I got him down fast. Next thing I want to do is keep this arm hooked, and I'm going to roll him over to this side here. This arm is already bent, and I'm going to use my arm, or my knee, to press that pressure behind, so give me the other arm, right? And there you go. I'm actually just holding my knees to crank this up, and I can stand if I have to face someone else. One more time. We're going to go from here, where I'm just going to do a cross face, yank it back, hook underneath the arm, and step straight back. Turn him over. Now I have his arm and his elbow. Pushing that, so give me your other arm, right? And I got him. We're going to go into something different, where if Ringo is pointing at Mr. Red, and I'm approaching from what you saw in the last video, my angle 2, where I step to the outside of his arm. He's aggressive, he's poking him in the chest, and I'm saying, hey man, take it easy. I'm going to grab his arm and do a come along. I'm going to horseshoe my foot back and pull and walk him this way. Okay? Now I have this control. Generally I might do this to put him into a wall so I can get his arm behind his back, or I might, take him, bang him into something, or I want to really bang him into something, right? Or walk him outside and throw him out. It's a very easy thing to do. When his arm is there, even if his arm is pointing at me, I simply do an angle 2 and I block out and I step. That step, and then I do an opposite motion like this. It's very aggressive. I got his arm, I'm walking and I'm watching his body language as I have him here. Now, for example, let's say that he's resisting, he starts to become resisting and he bends his arm. I'm going to come across, get it behind him, and hook the arm. Now I have both arms and I'm going to walk him this way. One more time, he's pushing at me, I go to do the come along, he bends his arm, I just put it behind him and I hook his other arm. I might even grab, through his arm, I might grab his other arm like this so it feels like he's handcuffed. Just kind of hook his arms this way and walk him. Okay? And I'm constantly lifting these arms up as he goes. That one more time, he's pushing at Mr. Red this time, I snatch his arm, I drop my weight, hooking my arm in there, and I walk him. If he's got the bend, I'll hook it behind his arm this way. I'll try to drive him into a wall or somewhere where he can't move very much. Now, what happens if he becomes an active fighter? He's already becoming an active resistor, but he starts to actively fight me, and he decides he wants to spin and throw an elbow at me. Go ahead. I'm going to block him with my forearm, put my hand on his shoulder. This is a simple martial art block, like a high block, going out towards his shoulder blade, catching his tricep. It's going to tear his tricep up, and it's going to allow me to go back to the original takedown. So as I went to pull him down this way and do my come along, he starts to resist. I go underneath his arm, he swings that elbow, I block, I do my cross face and take him down. From this position here, I spin him back over, I already have this arm, I hit my knee underneath it, say give me your other arm, And there you go. One last time. The last piece I did was the first takedown I did, where I came across, pulled his face, hooked his arm, okay? And you can see, I go as deep as I possibly can, almost even grabbing his other arm this way with this back arm to make sure that I have him really well, and I step straight back. The only thing that's keeping him from falling at this point is my chest. So when I drop the floor from underneath him, he hits the floor. This arm is hooked, and I just swing my leg over, bend that arm, get that knee in there, say, give me the other arm. And I use my knees to push up for that reserve, and I'm on the ball of my feet, so if I need to stand up and fight, I can. So from the come along, drop that weight, bend your knees, and thrust that arm in there, okay? And walk him. He starts to bend, swing it underneath, so it's behind his back, and walk him. He starts to throw an elbow, block the elbow with this. Hit as hard as you want, we're gonna go. Okay? One more time. You see, it doesn't take much for me to block that. If you do this with a partner, okay, from the tricep to the shoulder, you can see it's already lined up the hook. I let go, I come across, and start all over from the first movement. Okay? Grab the arm, hook it up, give me the other arm. All right? Tell them what you want, and go home safe to your family. My name is Wason Johnny Ty. Hope you enjoyed this presentation. You have a safe and fantastic day.